I've decided to hand over complete control of my life to artificial intelligence for one entire day. Every decision will be outsourced to algorithms and machine learning models. AI is already subtly shaping our experiences. Why would I do this? Sheer curiosity. Can an AI truly understand human nuance? It means everything, starting from the moment I wake up. It's a full surrender. I'm excited but also nervous. I'm hoping AI genuinely enhances my day or introduces me to something new. Perhaps it will identify inefficiencies in my routine or suggest a creative solution to a problem. To bring this experiment to life, I'll utilize a suite of AI tools, each specializing in different areas of life management. The prospect of relinquishing such a significant degree of personal autonomy does admittedly stir up a few anxieties. It's more about exploring what happens to the human in that equation. The only way to find out is to press start and let the algorithms lead the way. The alarm pierced through my slumber. Today the AI was in charge. What am I going to wear? I reached for my phone, a mix of apprehension and curiosity bubbling up. I navigated to Wardrobe Warlock, my personal AI stylist. I'd fed it my preferences and today's weather. And then the verdict arrived. A blue t-shirt, dark grey jeans, and a beige windbreaker. Surprisingly normal. It wasn't a bad pick. Was this a more efficient way to start the day? The jury was still out. With my AI-approved attire sorted, my stomach rumbled. Next up on the agenda, breakfast. Another daily ritual, another decision now outsourced to the digital realm. I opened my Gerji app, the AI I'd tasked with all things culinary for the next 24 hours. I'd given it access to my pantry inventory, another thrilling data entry session, and my dietary preferences, generally healthy, but not averse to a little morning indulgence. I braced myself. Would it suggest a 5-course meal, or perhaps just a single nutritionally optimized but soul-crushingly bland protein bar? The possibilities felt endless, and I was entirely at its mercy. The Gastro Genie didn't keep me in suspense for long. After a moment of digital deliberation, it presented its choice. Quinoa porridge with berries and toasted almonds. Quinoa for breakfast. That was a new one for me. I usually stick to oatmeal or the occasional scrambled eggs. This felt like a gentle nudge outside my culinary comfort zone, but not a forceful shove. The AI even provided a complete recipe, step-by-step instructions included. It seemed straightforward enough, though sourcing quinoa from the back of my pantry at 7 a.m. felt like a mini-adventure in itself. I guess AI assumes peak human organization at all times. Making the quinoa porridge was an interesting experience. I followed the AI's instructions meticulously, like a diligent student following a new lab protocol. Measure this, stir that, simmer for X minutes. There was a certain freedom in not having to think about what to make or how to make it. The mental energy usually spent on that decision was now free. However, I also felt a bit like a kitchen robot, executing commands. The creative joy of cooking, the little improvisations I usually make, were absent. This was pure, unadulterated recipe adherence, dictated by my silicon chef. The moment of truth arrived. I spooned the AI-concocted breakfast into a bowl. Visually, it actually looked pretty good, quite Instagrammable, if I do say so myself. And the taste? Surprisingly delicious. The quinoa had a nice, slightly nutty texture. The berries added a burst of sweetness, and the toasted almonds provided a satisfying crunch. It was healthy, filling, and genuinely enjoyable. Okay, Gastro Genie, you scored a point there. Perhaps this AI breakfast thing wasn't so bad after all. It was different, certainly, but not in a negative way. Maybe giving up control over my breakfast plate could lead to some tasty discoveries. Feeling surprisingly well fed, it was time for my AI-dictated workout. I input my time, fitness level, and equipment. Iron Scribe generated a plan: jumping jacks, squats, push-ups, lunges, and a plank repeated 4 times. The AI prescribed workout was efficient. I definitely broke a sweat. My outfit, breakfast, workout, all chosen by algorithms. It was strange, a feeling of being managed, but also efficient. Was this efficiency worth the detachment? After my AI-curated morning, it was time to face the workday. My work is usually a blend of structured tasks and creative freedom, so handing over the reins to an algorithm felt like a massive leap of faith. I booted up WorkWise AI. Within moments, my schedule appeared, a neatly organized list of tasks. The AI had certainly packed it in. It all looked incredibly efficient, very logical, and utterly relentless. Comparing this AI-generated agenda to my typical Tuesday was like comparing a military drill sergeant's plan to a jazz improvisation. I decided to dive into the first task. And you know what? It was surprisingly effective. Maybe this algorithmic overlord knew a thing or two about getting things done. After a surprisingly productive, if somewhat regimented first work block, the AI's schedule dictated it was time for emails. Oh, emails. The necessary evil of modern work life. I typically spend a good chunk of my day wading through my inbox, crafting replies and trying to stay on top of the digital deluge. So I was genuinely intrigued to see how an AI would handle this. I launched ReplyWrite AI, the tool I designated as my email assistant. My hope was that it could lift some of this burden. My fear was that it would make me sound like a customer service bot with no personality. I decided to start with a relatively straightforward email. A viewer had sent in a question about a specific productivity technique I'd mentioned in a past video. It required a thoughtful but concise answer. I fed ReplyWrite AI the original email and a few bullet points of what I wanted to convey. I instructed it to maintain a friendly and helpful tone, then I hit generate. The speed was undeniably impressive. In less than 10 seconds, a fully drafted reply appeared on my screen. I leaned in, curious and a little skeptical, to read what my AI ghostwriter had produced for me. The draft was not bad, actually. It was pretty good. Grammatically, it was perfect. The structure was clear and it addressed all the points I'd wanted to cover. It was polite, professional, and definitely helpful. However, it was also a little bland. It lacked that specific spark, that personal touch I try to inject into my communications. It sounded like a very competent assistant wrote it, but not necessarily like I wrote it. So while it provided an excellent foundation, I still found myself tweaking sentences, adding a bit more of my own voice, and injecting a friendly anecdote before I was happy to send it. I continued to use ReplyWrite AI for several other emails throughout the allotted time slot. For quick factual replies or standard acknowledgements, it was a real time saver. It could churn out those mundane responses effortlessly, freeing me up to focus on more complex messages. But for emails that required nuance, empathy, or a strategic approach, its limitations became clear. It could handle the what of communication, but struggled with the how and the why that often underpin meaningful interaction. It was a useful tool, certainly, but it wasn't about to take over my correspondence completely. The human element, it seemed, was still crucial in the art of the email. The AI-driven workday continued. Next on the meticulously planned schedule was a block dedicated to creative brainstorming. Specifically, I needed to come up with some fresh ideas for upcoming videos. This felt like a true challenge for artificial intelligence. Sure, AI can process data and follow instructions, but can it be genuinely creative? Can it spark that unpredictable magic that leads to a truly great idea? I opened IdeaSpark AI, armed it with my channel's core themes, productivity, learning, habits, personal development, and set it loose. I was ready to be amazed or perhaps thoroughly underwhelmed. IdeaSpark AI began to generate a list of potential video titles and concepts. The sheer quantity of suggestions was impressive. It was like a fire hose of ideas, some good, some bad, and some just plain weird. I saw predictable suggestions like top 5 focus techniques and how to beat procrastination. Then there were more off-the-wall ones like the productivity habits of ancient philosophers, which actually had a certain appeal, and the slightly baffling, can your pet goldfish teach you time management? I sifted through the digital deluge, looking for nuggets of gold amongst the common stones. A few ideas did catch my eye, not as fully formed concepts, but as interesting starting points. For example, the AI suggested the gamification of daily chores. While not revolutionary, it sparked a thought about how I could approach that topic from a new angle, perhaps focusing on the psychology behind it. I then tried to use IdeaSpark AI more interactively. I'd feed it a keyword or a half-baked idea, and it would generate related terms, questions, or different ways to frame the concept. In this capacity, it felt less like a creative partner and more like a superpowered thesaurus or a brainstorming assistant that never got tired. Beyond idea generation, I also experimented with using an AI tool to help with research for a script I was already working on. I fed it a few research papers and asked it to summarize the key findings and pull out relevant statistics. Here, the AI truly shone. It processed dense, academic texts in minutes, providing concise summaries that would have taken me hours to compile manually. This was a huge time saver. So when it came to the more mechanical aspects of creative work, like research and data organization, AI proved to be an incredibly powerful ally. But the core creative spark, the unique insight that still felt like it needed to come from a human brain. The workday dictated by WorkWise AI drew to a close. I felt surprisingly productive, yet like a cog in a machine. Now it was officially leisure time, according to the AI. I opened Leisure Leap AI, entrusted with curating my evening. I wondered if it had scanned my innermost desires or simply my Netflix viewing history. I enjoy narratives and escapism to unwind. However, AI can miss the subtle nuances of human taste. Tonight, The Seventh Seal, Ingmar Bergman. Existential dread on a Tuesday night, not what I anticipated. This felt less like leisure and more like cultural homework. As the black and white images flickered to life, I tried to keep an open mind. It was a cinematic masterpiece, but not fun in the way I craved. After 2 hours of brooding Swedish cinema, I was desperate for something lighter. Would the AI sense my mood and spare me another existential crisis? I refreshed the Leisure Leap app, silently pleading for mercy. The next suggestion, Synthwave Dreams, an upbeat electronic playlist. Synthwave, neon nostalgia and pulsing beats. Definitely a shift from medieval despair. I hit play. Instantly the room filled with energetic, retro-futuristic sounds. My mood lifted. I found myself tapping my foot, the gloom fading. The AI had nudged me out of my comfort zone, and it worked. I actually enjoyed it. It made me wonder, was this random, or was the AI trying to broaden my horizons? Either way, it was a win for algorithmic curation. Sometimes the best leisure comes from unexpected suggestions, not just what we'd pick ourselves. Energized by Synthwave, I checked Leisure Leap AI again. This time it suggested, try digital sketching for 30 minutes. I hesitated. My drawing skills are non-existent, but curiosity won out. The AI linked a beginner tutorial and a free app I'd barely touched. I followed along, fumbling with the digital pen. My first attempts were hilariously bad. Lumpy apples, mutant cats. But I was focused and learning. It was a different kind of engagement, and surprisingly rewarding. After half an hour, I wasn't an artist, but I'd tried something new. The AI had pushed me out of my routine, and I felt a quiet pride in simply giving it a shot. Maybe AI's real value is in nudging us toward unexpected discoveries. Post-sketching, hunger struck. What would the AI pick for lunch? I opened Gerji, hoping for something easy. The verdict Mediterranean chickpea salad sandwich. I followed the recipe. Mashing chickpeas, chopping veggies, mixing a lemon tahini dressing. The kitchen filled with fresh, zesty aromas. Assembling the sandwich, I realized this was healthier than my usual fare. The first bite, delicious, crunchy, tangy, and filling. AI had nailed it again. Balanced, tasty, and just adventurous enough. Maybe I should let algorithms plan my meals more often. Dinner, the AI's final challenge. I told Gerji I was ready for something ambitious. The suggestion, spicy black bean burgers with sweet potato fries. I followed the detailed recipe, mashing beans, sautéing onions, forming patties and baking fries. The kitchen smelled amazing. The burgers looked restaurant-worthy, piled high on whole wheat buns. The taste, phenomenal. Spicy, hearty, and perfectly paired with crispy fries. This was the culinary highlight of my AI-guided day. Turns out, a little algorithmic guidance can make for a surprisingly satisfying meal. With the last bite of my AI-prescribed black bean burger savored, my 24-hour culinary journey under algorithmic rule came to a close. Gastro Genie leaned towards healthy, plant-forward options incorporating whole grains, legumes, and fresh vegetables. Letting an AI choose my food introduced surprise and discovery. It felt like having a health-conscious, personal chef expanding my dietary horizons. It eliminated the daily "what should I eat" dilemma. Handing over food decisions felt like outsourcing a part of my daily human experience. Food is more than fuel. It's about culture, comfort, and shared experiences. AI can be a powerful tool, but the heart of our relationship with food will always remain deeply human. Evening settled, and after a day planned by AI, one frontier remained: social interaction. I wasn't about to let AI converse me, but could it my chats? I fired up ConvoCraft AI, fed it context, and asked for conversation starters for a video call with a friend. The AI suggested topics like recent projects, shared news, and sources of joy. Sensible, but also artificial. Could I use these prompts without sounding like I was reading an AI script? The potential for awkwardness was present. The video call connected. As the conversation flowed, I tried weaving in AI suggestions. It felt forced. AI lacked the human touch for meaningful connection. One AI suggestion sparked an interesting discussion about movies. Genuine human interaction quickly took over, adding layers an algorithm can't predict. AI can be a starting point, but authentic social connection requires the unscripted human element. I appreciated the natural art of talking to another human being. Well, the 24 hours are officially up. The digital strings have been cut, and I'm back in the driver's seat of my own life. Phew. What a ride it has been. This whirlwind tour through an existence orchestrated entirely by artificial intelligence. One of the most striking takeaways was the unexpected alleviation of decision fatigue. That mental bandwidth was suddenly free. This liberation from the tyranny of trivial choices was, I have to admit, quite appealing at times. There's a distinct difference between an efficient assistant and an empathetic companion. AI in its current state is undoubtedly the former. So what's the final verdict on letting AI control your life? However, this experiment has illuminated the immense potential of AI as a powerful tool. The key, it seems, lies in mindful integration, in consciously choosing where AI can genuinely add value. The future isn't about algorithmic overlords, but about finding that perfect human-controlled balance.